Hello and welcome to this special presentation of the Thurston County Auditor's Office. Over the next few minutes, Auditor Mary Hall will explain the process of voting, how ballots are kept secure, and how votes are tabulated.
The one constant in elections is that elections are always changing. Every voter in the state is mailed a ballot for every election they're eligible to vote on. Voters may return their ballot using a first-class stamp and via mail, or they can also deposit them in one of our 26 drop boxes that are located throughout the county. The Auditor's Office takes many steps to ensure ballot security, and this includes cameras in our ballot processing center. We always ensure that when anyone is handling ballots, there are 2 people present. And we also use tamper-evident seals and logs to ensure that ballots have not been tampered with. So once a voter receives the ballot, they're free to go ahead and vote. Election day is simply the election deadline. With the ballot, we include instructions on how to properly mark their ballot, what the voters should do if they make an error, and how they can make a correction. We also include the locations of all of our ballot deposit sites. So when the voter receives their ballot, they actually receive 2 envelopes with their ballot. So after they vote their ballot, they want to insert it in the secrecy envelope. This ensures that their vote is private. And then they put the secrecy envelope inside the envelope that has the voter declaration on it. And what's very important to remember is voters have to sign that voter declaration in order for us to count that ballot. If the voter chooses to mail their ballot, they have to use a first-class stamp. And it's also a good idea to look at the last pickup time on the mailbox to ensure their ballot gets postmarked on or before Election Day. Ballot drop boxes are also closed promptly at 8 p.m. on election night. So when the Auditor's Office receives the ballot, the first thing we do is get the envelopes organized, and then we run them through our sorter. We have pickup teams that go out to each ballot drop box and bring them back to the county. People can also return their ballot in person at our voting center, which here is at the courthouse. So once they get back to the courthouse, we verify the seal to make sure that that seal matches what's on the seal log, and then 2 staff members will open that bag and remove the ballots from the bag. Then we put them on our sorter, which takes a picture of their signature and also sorts the ballots down to the precinct level. Most voters aren't aware, but we check every single signature against the signature that we have in our voter registration system. So after the sorter takes the picture of that signature, we upload a file to our voter registration system. And when you get your envelope, you may notice that there's a barcode on the return envelope. That barcode contains your voter identification number. So that's how we match the signature that's on the ballot declaration up to the signature that is in our voter registration system. If those match, the ballot is passed through. If it doesn't match, we will contact the voter first by mail, and if they don't resolve the signature discrepancy within 3 days of the election, we'll also call that voter to see if we can assist them in solving their signature discrepancy. So if your signature changes, you're always welcome to stop in our office and update your signature, because signatures do change over time. So after we sort the ballots down to the precinct level, they go then to a ballot inspection team. And what they do is they'll remove the secrecy envelope from the outer envelope and put them in separate piles. This is what protects the secrecy of your vote. So once they're opened and the secrecies are separated, they'll remove the envelopes that have your voter declaration and signature, and then at that time, they will begin removing the ballot from that security envelope. So while we may know if you voted, we never know how you voted. After they open those envelopes, staff is also required to visually inspect the ballot to ensure that the tabulator is going to count your votes in the way that you intended them to. So if we find stray marks or food particles or something that is in the target area that will cause our tabulation equipment not to count that correctly, we will actually duplicate that ballot. Washington State has very strict rules of how ballots are duplicated, and we actually have what we call our voter intent manual. So ballots are duplicated consistently all across the state of Washington. So when ballot duplication is taking place, it actually requires a team of two. We will pull the exact ballot that you were sent in the mail, a blank ballot, and one voter will read the votes to the second person who will mark the votes. After that step is completed, they will give those ballots to a second team who will actually verify that how that was marked matches the ballot that you originally sent in. Early in the election process, we also conduct a very important test which we call our logic and accuracy test. And that test is how we ensure that we programmed our tabulators correctly. So what we do is we mark a set of ballots with a predetermined outcome. So we know what those results should be. Then what we do is we run those ballots through our tabulator, we print results, and ensure that how those ballots were tabulated is how they were marked. That's a very important part of our process and ensures that your vote is being counted correctly. So when we're ready to tabulate our ballots, we run them through in batches, and we always ensure that the number of ballots that were in that batch are the number of ballots that were supposed to be in that batch. So that's how we ensure that every single vote was counted. All the ballots received that were valid match what was counted. So after we finish tabulation, we also store those ballots, and we use tamper-evident seals to make sure that they're not ever opened again unless there is a contested election. And we store them for the required retention time. For a special election, it's 60 days. For a federal election, we keep the ballots for 22 months. We also have what's called a canvassing board. The canvassing board is made up of the county auditor, county prosecuting attorney, and the chair of the county commissioners. And this board is responsible for accepting or rejecting ballots. The canvassing board reviews those ballots that might be in question and then makes the determination of issues like voter intent. If the voter intent manual does not cover a topic, then it goes to the canvassing board to make that ruling. They also certify the results at the end of the election. And certification dates vary. It's 10 days for a special election, 14 days for a primary election, and 21 days for a general election. I think it's also important to talk a little bit about voter registration. We do have voter registration deadlines in this state, so it's very important to check our website. There's also a lot of questions around felons and can they vote, and those laws have also changed. As long as you are not under supervision of the Department of Corrections, you're eligible to vote even with a prior felony conviction. So this is a recent change in state law, and I think that's important to note as well. We make it very easy to register to vote in Washington State. You can simply go to vote.wa.gov and register online. You can also change your address using this same system.
You've been watching a special program on the path of the ballot. The Thurston County Auditor's Office is proud to present this production in cooperation with Thurston Community Television. For more information, please visit www.thurstonvotes.org or check us out on social media. Thanks for watching.